Hello, writers. It's me, Dr. Barry, your professor this semester for English 246 Creative Writing. This is going to be a three genre approach to writing. We're going to start off with fiction, then we're going to move on to poetry, and we're going to wrap up with creative nonfiction, which we'll probably spend the least time on because the semester is growing short, and it actually in many respects requires less because we're all well acquainted with writing our own stories. All right. Over the course of the semester, we're going to look at short stories, we're going to look at poems, we're going to look at memoirs, and you'll craft your way through this semester. The end goal is you're going to end up with a fine portfolio that you can hand off to someone, say if you choose to pursue this as a writing major, or if you in your future career as a writer. Right? This will just, by the end of the semester, you'll have a pretty nice collection of work that you can show to people and say, here, this is what I do. Right? Now, there are some things that are endemic in all writing, particularly fiction writing in this case. One of those things is called Freytags pyramid, which we're going to get into in this lecture. Now, here's the thing. As I said before in the introductory video, I can't teach you how to write. Now, don't freak out over that. No one can. Only you can find your own way as a writer. Right? I can teach you theory, I can teach you habits, I can show you exercises, but ultimately you're going to have to find your own way as a creator of fiction or poetry and so forth. Right? But let's get into a little bit of the theory here. Now, there was a German novelist and theorist named Gustav Freytag, and he began to look at great works of literature throughout history and throughout time. The classics and so forth, and he established that all works of fiction have these elements here, and we refer to that as Gustav's pyramid. Now, if you've had me for, or sorry, Freytag's pyramid. Freytag's pyramid. If you had me for Comp 101, then you already know about this. If not, we're going to go over this and talk a little bit about how this works. First, we have what is called the exposition. The narrator comes out and introduces himself. In Moby Dick, it would be the lead character saying, "Call me Ishmael," and talking about himself and how when he gets to a certain point in his life where everything is frustrating and he finds himself stuck, he puts out to sea. It's the opening credit roll in the movie Star Wars, long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, and you know the rest. Right? It is the introduction of the characters, and it sets the stage. Here in the exposition, you let your readers know the world that you are living in. In a story like A&P, Sammy, the narrator, talks about his town and the tourists versus the people who live there, and what a kind of dreary and dull little town it is. Then we have what's called the rising action. Now, the rising action is when things start to get complicated. Tensions build. The enemies begin to square off against each other. The hero begins his journey toward what will ultimately become the climax. And the climax, of course, is when things get as bad as they can possibly get, or as good as they could possibly get. The climax is kind of the peak of the mountain, because everything else after that is downhill. Yeah? It's Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi squaring off. It's society reaching a point of almost utopia before someone realizes, wait, there is a dark side to all this. It's Rocky facing off against his opponent in the ring. Right? Now, once the climax has occurred, all that's left is for us to go downhill. Right? It's if you're familiar with westerns, Butch and Sundance, heading down to South America, to Bolivia, to try to make a new life for themselves and failing. Then you have the falling action is maybe Butch and Sundance in the fortress surrounded by the Bolivian army. It's in The Hobbit. It's Bilbo watching the Battle of Seven Armies as the armies fight over Smaug's gold, And there's so much loss and devastation. It's the collapse of the Empire after Luke Skywalker and his band of rebels destroy the Death Star in Star Wars, right? The falling action is when things begin to return to normalcy. The bad guys are punished, the good guys are rewarded, or vice versa, depending on your story. And finally, we have the denouement. That's when things kind of go back to a sort of stasis, a sense of a sort of normality. Right? It's Bilbo going home to the Shire and thinking, maybe I'll write a book. Right? It's Don Quixote returned home and all of his books of chivalry walled up in his former library that his family who walled it up deny the existence of. It's him realizing the foolishness of trying to be a knight in the modern times and thinking, you know, maybe I could be a shepherd. Right? So the denouement is just when things kind of return back to normal. It's when that moment of peace in a weekly drama, just before things start to go bad again in anticipation of next week's show. All right, so that real quickly is Freytags' pyramid and theory about how fiction, short stories, everything from flash fiction to novels are structured. Quick thing too, one footnote. What we're going to be doing this semester, we're going to be doing a lot of workshopping. There are three things that Stephen King said, and well, two things that Stephen King said that you need to do to be a successful writer. Number one is you have to read. Sorry. And number two, you're going to have to write. All right. As I said earlier in the video, I can't teach you how to write. I can teach you what other people do, and you learn that in part also by reading. I can teach you tricks and strategies. And what you will do is you will read other people's works, and you say, okay, this is what he did here. That's interesting. We're going to read the work of Larry Brown. We're going to read Bobby Ann Mason. We're going to read some Ernest Hemingway. And what I want you to notice from them, from their works, is their use of colloquial voice. The writer's voice itself, particularly with Larry Brown, who is from Mississippi. And he wrote about the work of, well, the lives of pulpwooders and good old boys and that kind of thing. And he wrote in that particular vernacular. Because the first rule is write what you know, right? And write what is true. Now, let me put a caveat in that too. There is no science fiction writer alive who has ever picked up a laser pistol or a lightsaber, or who has, in all likelihood, traveled outside the bonds of this planet. But at the same time, you can create fantasy and still tell the truth. You can write a story that expresses something you know deep in your heart, with layer after layer of fiction on top of it. What is key is the truth that lies in the middle of it. All right. What we're going to do over the course of the semester, we're going to write, and then we're going to workshop. Our weekly meetings on Zoom, we will just sit down, we'll discuss what we have written. We'll say, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, always in a respectful manner, because we are all on this path together. One last thing, if you're working on a novel, our workshop is really not the place for it, because workshops are the place where novels go to die. It is easy to workshop a short story because you can see the structure from start to finish. A novel, not so much. Your critics will not be able to see all the working parts, and so you may find yourself frustrated, and you'll lose track of your own story by trying to workshop a novel. In November, there's a program called 1.0 Remo. If anyone wants to participate on that, I will absolutely float you extra credit and give you all the support I can give you, because that contest is when you try to write a novel over the course of November. Also know that November is a busy time, so if you don't feel you can participate, that is okay. It won't hurt you. Anyway, I look forward to working with you this semester. Coming up, we'll have our one-sentence story. That's discussion number 1. There's a cool example from Ernest Hemingway there in the course materials and in the discussion post. But just see it as a challenge. Oh, one last thing. These stories do not have to be polished. They don't have to be, I'm not looking for Random House quality work that you would hand over to an editor. Fear not. That's part of what the workshops are for. They do have to have a beginning, middle, and end. That is, they have to have you have to have a complete story. Other than that, I look forward to working with you and getting to know you this semester. We have a Zoom meeting coming up, and I will pair you up with your partners for the first round. All right. Have a great day.